Hey, everybody. In this episode you're about to listen to, we mistakenly refer to the original Godzilla movie as releasing in 1958. It actually released in 1954. Sorry about that, and enjoy the show.
You're listening to the Fun with Horror podcast with your hosts, Scotty and Andrew.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Scotty.
And welcome to episode 126 of Fun with Horror. We're the movie review podcast in which two long-distance best friends stay in touch by taking turns giving each other horror movies to watch, and then we discuss them.
That is correct. And last episode, I chose the next movie, and I went for a little bit of a stretch in the horror realm, and I chose 2023's Godzilla -1.
Ooh.
And, of course, stay tuned, everybody, to the end of this episode where we get to hear the beautiful new movie or old movie that Andrew is picking for our next movie. And, of course, I have no idea what you're going to pick. That's how we do things here at Fun with Horror.
True.
But first, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I think it's hilarious that last episode we joked about recording early. And even though it's not 4 a.m. right now, we're recording early.
Yes,
it's
we
like
are.
8:30 in the morning.
Yeah. This is the earliest we've recorded, for sure.
Maybe.
I think so.
Do you think we've recorded this early before? I feel like we have once or twice.
That's maybe true. I forgot we used to do it with scheduling and stuff back in the day. We'd do some in the morning.
Yeah, we didn't tell everybody.
That's true. But it's been a while. I'll say that.
But, buddy,
Yeah.
before we get started, it's time to turn this episode over to all of our beautiful listeners.
Yay. We love our listeners.
First, we have a new patron with horror.
What? Oh my god.
Kate, longtime listener Kate is now a patron.
Aww. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you for being a patron with horror.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
And you know what?
What?
We love you, Kate.
We do love you, Kate. We love you.
So, thank you. And everybody
Yes.
else out there, if you want, please go to our Patreon. It's in the description of the episode and become a patron with horror. It's only $5 a month to support us, and you get exclusive content. We now have 2 exclusive episodes.
Oh my gosh.
We have the coffee table that I did with Colby from the
Yes.
Horror House podcast.
Awesome.
And we also now have Demons 2, another Scotty's Alone Time.
Ooh, yeah. So light your candle up when you listen and get ready for a show.
Light that candle up. I did.
Yeah.
I totally did.
Did you?
When I say I light a candle,
You mean
I'm
it?
not kidding. I don't joke around with candles, buddy.
Hey, you know what? I took it too far. I'm sorry.
Damn you. Damn you, Andrew.
Wow, man. When like a parent or guardian is mad at you, you'd rather get like a spanking than like here, I'm disappointed. That's how I feel right now. Hearing that,
You'd always rather get a spanking from me.
well, from you, yeah, absolutely, any day, anytime.
Hey, guess what's happening right now?
Wait, what?
You see that tail in the background?
Yeah, I was wondering.
It's Ziggy the Horror Cat. He's going crazy.
He is. I keep seeing him zoom around.
That hasn't happened in a while.
No, but it always. Oh, yep, there you go.
There he goes.
It's always when we start, like the second we hit record.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to Fun with Horror, back when Andrew and I started, almost every single episode, Ziggy, the horror cat, would just go nuts when we started recording for whatever reason.
Yep.
Like Dad's not paying attention to me, so I'm going to go crazy.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
And he's doing it again. Ziggy. Here he comes. Here he comes. Oh, no.
You fool.
All right, let's get back to our listeners, buddy.
All right. Yes. Sorry.
It's your turn. We have a new Apple Podcast review.
We do. This is so good. So the title says, Scotty and Andrew are a gift. Thank you. That's very sweet.
Aw.
And it's from Chuddle the Sam, who we know.
We know Sam.
We know Sam. Thank you, Sam. But it says, this is great. It says, this show rules. Funny, insightful, and genuinely wholesome. They never try to be something they're not, and their authenticity is refreshing. If you want a feel-good horror movie pod, this is the one for you. Typically, the show has no explicit language, but because I know they read reviews on the show, poo-poo, pee-pee, butt, wee-wee. That's so good. I love that. Thank you.
That is my new favorite review.
That's so funny.
Thank you, Sam.
You know what? Thank you, Sam. That is so sweet and hilarious, but thank you. That's beautiful.
You know what? Now Sam is my favorite Chuddle.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
I'm going to start a real Chuddle battle.
Yep. To the death. Now I kind of almost want to say for reviews, like, who can write the funniest review? There we go.
That's right.
There we go.
Yeah, but make sure it's 5 stars or we're not going to read it.
That's right.
Or, I mean, it can be 4 or 3 as long as it's constructive, or
Yes.
if it's a good review or a constructive review, we'll read it. If it's
Yes.
like, if you're just being an a-hole,
Yes.
as we say on Fun with Horror, then we're not going to read it because we're not going to reward a-holes.
That's true. We don't, you know what? We don't help bullies. No, thank you.
No. But Andrew, we also have a couple of Q&A things on Spotify. That silly
Yay.
Spotify Q&A.
I
So
love
remember, everybody, on every episode on Spotify, there's a question that says, what did you think about this episode in this movie?
Yeah.
And people are allowed to answer. And these I love to read out
Yes. Oh my
loud. So we
gosh.
have a new one from on our Infested episode.
Okay.
It's somebody named Parker, and Parker says, this is my favorite movie of 2024 so far.
Nice. Hey, that's great.
You know what, Parker? It's my favorite horror movie of 2024 so far.
I was going to say, you two have a lot in common.
Yeah. For Andrew, it is just a movie he watched in 2024.
Yeah, for the podcast, I did it for you, for you all. No, it was good. Go listen. Go listen to the episode. You'll know what I
Go listen
thought.
to the episode. Then you'll find out what Andrew really thought.
That's right.
Now, this one's great.
Oh, boy.
So,
Okay.
on our most recent A Serbian Film episode, wink, wink, that was released on April 1st.
I'm going to also, jump in there and say wink, wink. I feel like we need a wink, wink. There we go.
But anyway, Motor V12,
Okay.
he wrote, Twilight? Wrong file, maybe?
Yes. Dude, that's perfect. Oh,
I love
that
it.
is, it's kind of, that's why we do it. I love it.
It is why we do it. Of course,
That's
we
the
can say
reaction.
right now that
Yeah.
for those of you that don't know, on every April 1st,
Yes.
April Fool's Day, we say that we're doing a Serbian film, but we do something else.
Yes.
And it's become a running joke, and I love to see people's reactions when they think they're going to listen to an actual episode about a Serbian film, and then it turns out to be Cats, the musical.
Which is amazing because a Serbian film is such a hardcore movie that I think the people that listen are genuinely like, whoa, what did they think of this? I love it.
Now, finally, buddy,
Yeah. Yes.
our friend Scott Rogers, who we interviewed back in the day.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott. We interviewed Scott. He designed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre board game, as well as others. Please go back and listen to that episode because he was very, very good and informative.
Yes,
He's an awesome friend. He wanted you, Andrew,
yeah.
to go back and watch the 1978 trailer, the teaser trailer for Magic, which was our last episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
So it's something we didn't do during the episode, and he wants you to watch it. So I'm going to let you watch it right now.
Okay. And it is the
And then-
30-second one, or 33 seconds, right?
I'm pretty sure because the other one's just scenes from the movie.
Oh, okay. All right.
So go ahead and watch this, and then we'll discuss.
Okay. Oh my God. Whoa. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Wow, that's wild. That is awesome. That may be my favorite teaser trailer I've ever seen.
You watched the
Wow.
entire thing?
I did. Yeah, it was like 30 seconds, but that's abracadabra. Oh my gosh.
I should have played it for the podcast.
Oh,
Maybe I will right
maybe
here.
plug it in.
Abracadabra, I sit on his knee. Presto, changeo, and now he is me. Hocus pocus, we take her to bed. Magic is free. We're dead.
Josephine Levine presents Magic, a terrifying love story starring Anthony Hopkins, Anne Margaret, and Burgess Meredith. Rated R.
Oh
my
man.
God.
That's
So that
awesome.
played on TV, I believe, and
Oh
it
my
scared the hell out of
gosh.
people.
Oh, I can guarantee you. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but seeing like the Chucky trailer on TV back when I was little, I would book it out of the room. If I saw this on TV, I don't know if I would. I'd probably be in some, I don't know, house somewhere needing help. I don't know. That would have scared me to death as a kid.
Yeah,
That's wild.
it did scare me to death as a kid.
Have I been talking to a ghost this whole time?
Yes,
I knew it. I knew it. I told Cindy.
I am now with God. Zilla.
Ah! Yes.
Andrew, are you ready to hear me butcher some names?
Yeah, I'm very grateful you're doing this one because I would have, yeah. We've seen me try and do just names from here in the States and I butcher them. So, yeah,
Yeah, you had a really hard time with Anthony Hopkins.
I did. Hopkinske. I forget, something like that.
Godzilla -1, ladies and gentlemen, was directed by Takashi Yamazaki. It was also written by Takashi Yamazaki, but also, of course, it was written by Ishiro Honda and Takeo Murata, the original creators of Godzilla. It stars Ryonosuke Kamiki as Koichi Shikishima, Minabe Hamabi as Noriko Oishi, Sakura Ando as Sumiko Ota, and Munetaka Aoki as Sosuku Tachibana.
Dude, I think that sounded pretty good.
I tried so hard. I've been practicing all night.
I wonder if we have any listeners in Japan that would comment on that and say, yeah, that was good, or totally butchered. But I think it sounded good.
I hope that we have listeners in Japan
That'd be awesome.
when they see that we're doing a Japanese movie.
Yeah, dude, that'd be so cool.
And I'm talking about The Sadness.
That's no.
Oh,
Oh, this took a turn. Oh.
yeah, of course, I was wrong, buddy. The Sadness is a Chinese-Taiwanese film.
Ah, there you go.
So,
That
so
boy.
this is our first Japanese movie,
Yay, that's awesome.
I think. Yeah, I don't think we've done a Japanese
no.
film yet.
I'm trying to go through. No, we haven't. I don't think we have. That's awesome.
Wait, let's just recap all 125 movies that we've done.
Okay.
And
yeah.
just make this a 4-hour episode.
That was what I was already planning.
So first we did Tourist Trap.
That's right. Give us a little
Tourist
spiel.
Trap, it was about... No, okay. So anyway,
Can you imagine? Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further,
yes.
we are about to spoil Godzilla -1.
Yes.
Luckily for everybody out there, it is easily watchable on Netflix right now. So
Yeah.
as far as during the moment of this recording.
Yes.
And of course, please go watch the Japanese language version with subtitles
Yes.
I know you all turn your subtitles on for every movie, you heathens, so...
I do that.
Oh, you do?
I can't hear. I have terrible hearing. It's awful.
Do you have terrible hearing or a baby?
I'm both.
Do you turn subtitles on for every single movie you watch?
Most of them. I can't hear, man. I have such a hard time. I have really bad hearing. I always have.
So you're a heathen.
What?
Sorry, let me subtitle that for you.
Please do.
Hang on. Okay, so, of course, now it's time for the 3-minute recap, buddy.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I'm not doing any of my job right now in our opening here. But yeah, we have the 3-minute recap.
Yeah, we've done the spoiler warning.
Yeah.
8:30 a.m., everybody.
That's right.
8:30 a.m. So we've done the spoiler warning, and now it's time for the 3-minute recap. Of course, like always,
Mm-hmm.
either Andrew or I will be doing this. We don't know who yet. I'm going to roll a virtual 20-sided die. If it's
Yeah.
odd, Andrew's doing it. If it's even,
jeez.
I'm doing it.
Oh.
Whoever does it is going to do it mostly from memory,
Yep.
which is fine because you just watched this last night, buddy.
I did, but I'm also, if it is me, I'm going to butcher so many names, and it's going to be awful. And I
It's
apologize.
okay. Just call them that guy and that girl.
Okay.
Just all right. Tell me when to stop.
Now.
It's a number 4.
That's you! Yay! Oh my gosh, it's a miracle. Just so you know, remember, 3 minutes, that's all you get. I did actually conjure up a kaiju, so
Ooh, which one?
I won't tell. I want it to be a surprise before you die if you go past 3 minutes. So just heads up, it will be there to destroy you. And really, actually, kind of everyone in your vicinity, unfortunately. So you got 3 minutes. I hope you do it in under.
You better have the name of the kaiju ready because I plan to come in just under 3 minutes.
Let me just make sure I have that name ready.
All right. Well, you get that name ready, and I'm going to start.
All right, whenever you're ready.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
Godzilla -1 is somewhat of a new retelling of the origin of Godzilla. It could take place before the original 1958 movie, but it starts in 1945 on Odo Island. Shikishima is a kamikaze pilot who has brought his plane in for quote-unquote repairs, but we find out later that he is getting away from being a kamikaze. He doesn't want to die for a war that's already over. He's also, I think he's scared of dying. But anyway, while he's there, a large Tyrannosaurus Rex-sized lizard creature that the locals call Godzilla attacks. Shikishima is told to get in his plane and shoot Godzilla. When he has Godzilla in his sights, he freezes up, and he doesn't. Godzilla proceeds to kill everybody on the island except for Shikishima, and I don't know if he's a captain or a sergeant, but Tachibana. Tachibana is not happy with Shikishima. They both go back to Japan, where they find Japan has been devastated by World War II. Shikishima meets Noriko Oishi, and Noriko has a baby, and the baby's name is Akiko. And she was given the baby by a couple of people who died in the war. She has been tasked to take care of the baby. Shikishima and Noriko end up taking care of this baby while Shikishima is dealing with his post-traumatic stress disorder and his survivor's guilt from failing as a kamikaze pilot. Sumiko Ota is a lady that lives in his little village that helps take care of Akiko. So as we go on, Shikishima takes a job as a mine eliminator. I don't know what they call it, but he basically is on a boat with 3 other guys. They go through the ocean looking for mines that were left from the war, and they shoot these mines, disable them so that they don't blow up other ships. He talks about this lizard that attacked him on Odo Island, and eventually they get word that there is something huge, this gigantic creature that we now know has been mutated and changed by atomic bomb testings. This creature has destroyed battleships. Shikishima and his crew and another boat are tasked with slowing down the creature's advance on Tokyo, on Japan. And there's a nice little chase scene where Godzilla chases them in their boat. And then this huge battleship from the war comes along and starts blowing up Godzilla. Shikishima even blows up a mine in Godzilla's mouth. But guess what? Godzilla regenerates. Godzilla proceeds to go under the water after being shot by this battleship and shoots this heat ray out of the ocean and just completely obliterates this battleship in a somewhat nuclear explosion. Shikishima goes back to the mainland. He was injured, but everybody, him and his boat, they're all alive. Go back to the mainland. Noriko, meanwhile, has taken a job in the city. She and Shikishima are having this romantic thing where they don't know what they want to do for each other, and Noriko wants to get a job and move on so she can let Shikishima live his life because she thinks that he doesn't want to be with her, blah, blah, blah. Godzilla comes to land, and he starts to obliterate the city. As he's doing so, Noriko and Shikishima find each other. Godzilla starts to get shot by tanks and stuff. Godzilla starts to power up his blast, and he shoots his heat ray at these tanks that are shooting him, and it's a huge nuclear explosion that destroys everything and kills so many people. And in the process, Noriko pushes Shikishima into an alley, seemingly dying herself, sacrificing herself for Shikishima. So Godzilla goes back into the ocean. They know he's going to come back. The U.S. military and the Japanese military can't really do anything about it because they're worried about raising tensions of a war that's now over and restarting this war. So it's up to the citizens with donated ships from these military. They hatch a plan to basically surround Godzilla with these Freon things, and when they set this Freon off, the bubbles will cause Godzilla to rapidly descend to the bottom of the ocean. And if the pressure of that does not kill him, they have these balloons set up that will rapidly bring him back to the top of the ocean, and hopefully the depressurization, the rapid depressurization, will kill Godzilla. Shikishima gets a plane. He meets up with Tachibana again, and this time Shikishima wants to fulfill his destiny. He wants to kamikaze pilot into Godzilla's mouth because he knows that Godzilla is sensitive from the inside. He's basically ready to die to help save Japan. So the day comes. He's got his plane. Godzilla comes to land. He distracts Godzilla, pulls him out into the ocean. These two ships surround Godzilla. Everything is going to plan. They sink Godzilla to the bottom of the ocean. He's still alive. So they bring him back up rapidly, but the cables stop. They don't bring Godzilla all the way up, but Godzilla is now injured. They don't know what they're going to do. The cables that are holding Godzilla, he's so heavy that they're starting to break the cranes on the ships that are trying to pull Godzilla back to the surface. All of a sudden, all these tugboats show up, and they're like, we're going to help you, yay! So now the tugboats attached to the big ships, they're pulling the ships, they bring Godzilla, but Godzilla is injured, but pissed off. Godzilla starts to bring up his heat ray. He's going to obliterate everybody. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Shikishima in his plane filled with explosives. He comes, and right as Godzilla is about to shoot his heat ray, he flies right into Godzilla's mouth, and he blows up Godzilla's head. What we find out is that Tachibana installed a ejector seat in the plane, and he gave the option to Shikishima whether he wants to eject or not. Shikishima ultimately decides he wants to live, and he ejects from the plane. So Godzilla has been destroyed. The power of the heat ray has made Godzilla's entire body crumble apart, and all the pieces have sunk to the bottom of the ocean. When Shikishima and everybody get to the shore, Shikishima finds out that, what? Noriko is still alive. They go to the hospital. Noriko says, is your war finally over? And they hug. Seems like things are going to be okay, but guess what we see? We see a little bit of black veiny something creeping up on Noriko's neck. So the question of how she survived that blast is now maybe answered, maybe not. We don't know. But that's not all. the last thing we see is a gigantic chunk of Godzilla at the bottom of the ocean start to regenerate. And that's the end of the movie.
Whoa. Just under 3 minutes. Oh my gosh. That was close. So I thought about hiring like Mothra. I do know
Mothra would be
Mothra
good.
and stuff like that, but I actually found a cool one named Kiro Cat, because I said if anything
Say that
should
again?
end you, it should be a giant cat. Kiro Cat,
Kiro Cat. Okay.
Kero, Kero Cat. And it's on the Kaiju Encyclopedia is how I found it. But yeah, I said if anything's gonna hurt you, it should be a giant cat. But I called it off because you came in just under 3 minutes, man. So that was perfect.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man. Well done. That was quite the recap. That was perfect. You kind of nailed everything, man.
Well, I mean, I think as you know and can tell, I absolutely love this movie.
You do?
Yeah, this was one of my favorite movies of 2023.
Wow.
Maybe my favorite movie now of 2023. I'd have to look at my 2023 movies.
Wow.
But funny enough, when I did a listing of my favorite horror movies,
Uh-huh.
I was kind of hesitant to put Godzilla up there.
Yeah, I get that.
But I'm so glad that people decided that it is a horror movie, kind of
Yeah.
like Jaws. Jaws is a horror movie
For sure.
in its essence. So that we're doing it on this podcast.
And I said this on our last episode too, is that, I mean, it's a monster. And I think monster movies are kind of classified as, at least I like to classify them as horror movies. So
Correct.
to me, it's a horror movie, man.
Yeah. So the real question though, buddy,
Yeah.
you are not a person who is well versed in classic Godzilla.
I am not. Not at all.
You've seen a few of the newer Godzilla movies, the legendary MonsterVerse movies.
Yeah. Yep.
So, knowing that, what did you think of Godzilla -1?
Well, I liked parts of it, and I didn't like parts of it. But I'm excited for our conversation because I feel like you always boost up my love of a movie when we talk about it. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, I can tell you that I definitely liked this movie even more the second time I saw it,
Okay.
because I am aware that there are long stretches of this movie that have no Godzilla in them,
Right. Yes.
and that anybody who faults the movie for that is a damn heathen. I would
Well-
seriously hope that nobody I know would fault the movie for actually focusing on humans for once.
So I'm going to explain why those parts bothered me.
Go ahead, buddy.
All right.
Let's get this out of the way.
Okay. So I did some like research because I was like, I really don't want to be like culturally insensitive. That's not my goal here. But I've noticed with many like Japanese films in particular, I've watched a lot of Japanese films and I love Japanese films, but there's certain movies where I feel like kind of that, they're very exaggerated in some of their emotions, which I found out is actually influenced by kabuki theater. That's like a type of acting, a style of acting, which I was like, I didn't know that. That's very interesting to me. But some of the movies I've seen do kind of go over the top or exaggerate, I guess, maybe not over the top, but exaggerate some of the dialogue. And for me, it takes me out of it a little bit. Whereas if I watch something like anime from Japan, I love anime. As you know, I have a lot of anime. I love anime. And they do that as well. They kind of do some of the exaggerated emotions. But for animation, same with American animation, it's forgiving because it's animation. I feel like that's okay. It can do that. There's no rules to that for me anyway. And so sometimes when I see it live action, and it's the same, I mean, if you look at like, for me, not the same, but something I could compare it to, I guess, would be like, and again, this isn't acting wise, but I'm trying to find something in the States that I can compare it to. So this is going to maybe not work, but like if it's soap opera, sometimes it's somewhat over the top or they use some dialogue that I'm like, that's interesting. So because of that, I don't watch soap operas. And so I don't know, just some of that over the topness takes me out of it a little bit. So again, I'm really trying to be like not a jerk here at all. It just takes me out of the moment that I know was meant to be a little more heartfelt. But instead I'm kind of like, well, that's an interesting way to say that dialogue. You know? I probably made a lot of enemies right now.
It's okay, because here's what I'm going to tell you.
Please.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
As far as this movie is concerned,
Mhm.
I do disagree with you.
Fair. Okay. Yeah, totally fair.
I've seen movies where they do that exaggerated type of emotion.
Right.
One movie I'll bring up that I don't think you've probably seen is The Host, which is a Korean film.
I have seen The Host. I love The Host.
So The Host,
Uh-huh.
they actually kind of satire the way emotions are portrayed in movies like that.
Right.
I'm not going to go into spoilers, but there is the part where I think they're in the gymnasium in The Host, and they're crying and they're just rolling around on the ground and really over-exaggerating the emotions, making fun of it.
Yeah.
I don't feel that they did that as much in this movie
Mm-hmm.
because of what the characters were going through.
Okay.
Like, name a moment.
Anytime our main character is crying,
Okay.
every time, I felt like when I cry, I don't know, it's just a little more in the moment, I feel like. And when he does it, at least this is how I feel. I'm just like, whoa, that's really extreme. That's like a really extreme cry. And I don't know. It just, even when I'm like upset and really mad or whatever, I just feel like it's more realistic to, and I don't know. And maybe it's a culture thing too. And I'm
Keep going with your sentence, though. It's more realistic to what?
to me, I guess. I don't know. I mean, to again, maybe it's just the States. I don't know. But to me, when he was crying just every time, or most of the times anyway, I just was like, I should have felt, oh man, I feel really bad for this character, but I was more distracted than anything of just, whoa, that's really an extreme cry or an extreme emotion right there.
I mean, there's the part that, if you're talking about that, there's the part where he wakes up from the nightmare.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Noriko is there, and she's telling him she forbids him to die and stuff. Those types of scenes.
Yes.
Like, I get it, and it's a valid response.
Okay.
But for me, after seeing this movie a few times now,
Mm-hmm.
I actually get caught up in his emotions, seeing somebody who, again, okay, so going back to the recap, kind of.
Yeah. Please.
Shikishima
Mm-hmm.
is a kamikaze pilot.
Right.
His country has told him that he has to fly his plane into another plane or into some other enemy something,
Right.
exploding his plane and killing himself.
Right.
He understands that the war is over. A lot of people do.
Mhm.
But he doesn't want to die.
Right. No, I get that.
So he's
Yeah.
feeling the shame of that.
Right.
So he lands on this Odo Island.
Right.
He's already feeling the shame and pondering what it means for him not to have done what his country asked of him for this war when this creature attacks.
Mm-mm.
So he gets in his plane, Captain Tachibana or Sergeant Tachibana or whatever he is. Tachibana tells him to get in his plane and shoot Godzilla.
Right.
He's got Godzilla right in his sights.
Right.
Now, we don't know this at the time, but I believe Godzilla would not have regenerated at this point.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Although he might have. We don't know where Godzilla comes from. It's
Right,
just this
exactly.
giant dinosaur-like lizard creature.
Right.
When he has Godzilla in his sights, he freezes up. Now, he freezes up because he's scared.
Right.
He's also scared that it's not going to do anything and Godzilla is just going to turn on him and kill him.
Right.
Which we, as the audience, we kind of know that that's probably what would happen.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
But they don't. So Godzilla, at that point, goes on to kill everybody in the camp except for him and Tachibana. So now all of these guys' deaths are on his head as well.
Right. Yep.
We see he's on this boat going back to the mainland. Tachibana finds him on this boat full of soldiers.
Right.
And he gives him an envelope that has pictures of all of the dead men that were ready to go home. These men were about to go home.
Right.
So imagine the pain, the shame, and the guilt that Shikishima is feeling.
No, I get that. I absolutely get it.
Well, I'm just.
Oh, yeah.
We're going here.
Okay.
Just put yourself in his place right now.
Right. Right.
Now add to that. Now you're going to have nightmares of this monster. Like who sees a monster like that and survives?
Right.
Like it's not real. So nobody.
Right.
So he's going to have nightmares of this that compound upon his feelings of the war, his survivor's guilt. And the first thing that happens when he gets back is this lady from his village, Sumiko Ota. Sumiko, we'll just call her.
Yeah.
He finds her, she finds him, and I think she tells him that his parents are dead.
Right.
So his parents are now dead.
Right.
He's come back from the war to find his parents gone.
Right.
The first thing this woman does is shame him for not killing himself,
Right.
saying that it's his fault that his village got decimated by the
Right.
war. He didn't stop this. He didn't do anything to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just compounding and compounding. And then he meets Noriko, who is taking care of Akiko, the little girl. An amazing little girl actress, by the way.
Oh, she's so cute too. Oh my gosh.
Good Lord. We got to talk about her in a second.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
But now he's kind of thrust into this position of taking care of this very beautiful woman and this little girl.
Right.
But he has so much guilt, he feels like he's going to fail them too.
Right.
So, again, I get what you're saying about the over-exaggerated emotions of movies like this. In this movie, I didn't feel it because I can't fathom how awful he felt.
Right. No, I get that. And believe me, I'm with you. I understood all the stuff that he went through, but just seeing him, I don't know. It just took me out of it because to me, it didn't seem realistic. And again, I don't know, obviously, what I went through, but a lot of characters that did have some like stronger emotions did kind of that exaggerated version. So seeing it from multiple people, I just was like, okay, like it's exaggerated to me. Okay, yeah, I don't know. It just kind of took me out of it, man.
I think we need to just have you hang out with a bunch of Japanese people so that
Maybe.
you can see that
Yeah.
you're just being racist.
No, stop. Don't say that. No, I am not. I am just saying. That was why I was so nervous to talk about this, because I was like, I really don't want to come across as like a jerk, but I'm just, I did research because I was like, is this like a normal like thing in movies in Japan, or is it, and I did find out it's that kabuki theater. It's like based on a type of acting that's called kabuki theater, or it originated from kabuki theater. So I was like, okay, well, it's a type of acting that they're doing in this movie. So I felt like I could bring that up and not, I don't know. I was really nervous. I don't want people to hate me.
Let's go on a sidebar real quick.
Yeah.
So that type of acting is also present in older American films
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
where people exaggerated it a little bit more
Yep.
and were less real.
Yeah.
Now, does that take you out of those as well?
Yes,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, it's not just, it's definitely, I've seen many older movies. My mom was such a lover of older movies, so I saw many of them growing up. And I think even as a kid, just being like, well, that's an odd way to do it. Like, that's not how I've seen this before. So it's the exact same thing. I think, I don't know.
Well, let's not even go that old. Like, so I'm going to jump into your camp right now.
Yeah,
But I'm
please.
going to talk about American movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
A movie I just rewatched recently was the original Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. Charlton Heston
Yep.
overacted like crazy in that movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yes, absolutely he did.
Now, I understand that Charlton Heston is a renowned actor.
Right.
Ben-Hur, Moses from the Ten
Right.
Commandments. He's done some great things.
Mhm.
But in Planet of the Apes, his acting takes me out of it a bit.
I get it. No,
And
I get that.
I'm gonna go one further for you, buddy.
Please.
I'm not going to get into Planet of the Apes spoilers here, but I watched the second movie, which is Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Oof, buddy.
And suddenly we're dealing with another astronaut
Yes.
who is very similar to Charlton Heston's character.
Yeah.
And
Oh
let me
my
tell you, I preferred that guy.
That's fair, man. That's fair. Oh, man. Yeah, I've told you when you finish those, we need to talk because there's so much I want to discuss with you about those movies. But I agree with you 100%, pal.
Again, I'm just saying I understand your sentiments.
Right.
In this movie, I disagree with them. I can see kind of where you're coming from, but this movie affected me, especially the second time. And I want to know, I'm so curious if that will bother you as much the second time you see the movie.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to watch it.
Because the first time you watch the movie, for sure, you're waiting for Godzilla to appear.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, for me, one of the strengths of this movie was that even during my first viewing of the movie, I was invested in the characters, the human characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't bother me when Godzilla didn't show up for an extended period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But on my second viewing, even more so, when I knew when Godzilla was going to show up,
Right.
I was able to focus even more on the human characters and get into what was driving them
Right. Right.
and their emotions and what was going on, especially Shikishima.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I get it. And I genuinely, we've talked about this, whether we disagree on movies or not. I love that you felt that. I think that's beautiful. I think that's amazing. And I love that you had that connection. That's great. Maybe if I watched it again, kind of knowing what to expect, it would be different. I don't know until I watch it again, though. I won't know.
Did you like the guys on the boat?
Yeah. Oh, I did. I did actually. I even said, okay, help me out. The doctor's name.
Noda.
Noda. Thank you. I said I loved him. I thought he was great, but I loved his style. I was like, man, looking at him, I felt like I was like reading a book. You know how like you can imagine characters when you're reading a book. I was like, he's just perfect. Like he looks so great. I loved his style. I loved his hair. I loved everything. I was like, this guy's awesome. I love him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, he just was cool. So yeah, I did like the guys on the boat. They were fun.
I love them all. I thought they each had a really unique character. Noda is the doc.
Right.
Akitu is the captain.
Yes.
And he was like the kind of the brusque.
Yes. Yeah.
And also funny, like the way he read his lines.
Yeah.
The way he just had some really good reactions and stuff.
I agree.
And then Mizushima is the kid.
Right.
And I thought he was great too, because here's this kid who was not in the war. He was too young to be in the war.
Right.
He wanted to help his country, but he couldn't.
Right.
So I think he was too young.
I think that's what they said. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
But okay, so this is another reason I love this movie.
Okay.
That I didn't really realize until maybe my second or third viewing of it.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie takes a lot of inspiration from Steven Spielberg.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing with the guys on the boat, there's a very big Jaws feel to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is on purpose, it turns out, when I was reading about it.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, Jaws was one of the main, influences for this movie.
Cool.
Another big one was the original War of the Worlds.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Totally.
And then, strangely enough, one of the biggest influences of this movie and the structure of this movie was the animated films of Miyazaki.
Oh.
You know, the Studio Ghibli films.
I love Studio Ghibli movies. That's awesome. Aw. That's cute. I love that.
I don't know. You know, the Studio Ghibli films, they start to read their lines and it's just over exaggerated.
Shut up. I said anime and animation are okay. They get an out. So nan and a boo boo.
Wow, I can't believe you nan boo boo me.
I did nan boo boo you. So there.
It's hard to say.
I know it is.
Nana boo boo.
Nana boo boo.
Okay. Anyway,
stick your head in doo doo. All right.
Let's get to the meat of this movie, though.
Yes.
What'd you think of Godzilla, pal?
I loved Godzilla in this movie. This was like the highlight, obviously, for me. But one thing I wanted to bring up is I appreciated that we saw Godzilla right away. I feel like so many movies now, you know, when we know something's coming, whether it be a creature or even like a superhero or whatever, they kind of take their beats until we get that moment of like, oh, here we see it. Now, obviously, we see Godzilla smaller than what we see later, but it was really nice to see Godzilla in like the first 10 minutes and be like, oh, and see some destruction. It wasn't just a tease of like, oh, there he is in the water. It was Godzilla doing some destruction and wiping people out. It was kind of a nice, refreshing take today in movies that we see where we have to wait. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, you know, movies with a similar structure to this.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen movies where they give you the enemy, the villain, the monster or whatever at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
And it feels like they're doing it because they know you're not going to see it again for a while.
Yep.
So it's like, let's give you a glimpse
mm-hmm.
so to make the audience a little bit happy.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yep, it's fan service.
This movie could be seen as doing this,
Mm-hmm.
but there is an actual real purpose to having Godzilla at the beginning of the movie like that.
Yep, perfect.
In fact, multiple purposes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No, that's beautifully said. Yep.
I love that scene.
That was awesome, man. And to be honest, I mean, seeing that scene, I was like, whoa, here we go. Like, I'm in for a ride. And then, it takes a little dips and dives for me. But I thought that opening scene was fantastic. It was awesome.
So this is going to be interesting, buddy,
Okay.
because of what you've said up to now.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Because I feel a certain way about this movie and certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you said what you said about the over-exaggeration and stuff taking you out of the moment of certain characters,
Sure. Yeah.
I wonder if you're going to agree with me here.
Oh, okay.
One of the things that I've always looked for in Godzilla movies, and this even goes back to the 2014 Godzilla film with Bryan Cranston and everything,
Mm-hmm.
where I've always wanted to see humans that I care about in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and where I'm actually scared of what's going to happen to them. And the only movie, and it's a kaiju movie, the only kaiju movie that has really done that is Cloverfield.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Godzilla 2014 didn't make me feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of cared about the humans,
Mm-hmm.
but in the end, I was like, I didn't feel devastated when Godzilla made landfall and stepped on a bunch of people.
Right. Yeah.
In this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the reasons I was okay picking this movie for our podcast,
Right.
I felt like Godzilla was scary.
I agree.
I felt like for once he wasn't the anti-hero creature that most movies make Godzilla out to be.
Yep.
He's this scary freaking monster
I totally
That-
agree.
is going to kill a whole bunch of people and cause destruction. I also love the fact that this movie takes place right after World War II.
Yeah, I thought that too. Yep.
The other thing is, okay, obviously we have our main characters,
Right.
and I cared about them. I didn't want anything bad to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have these thousands and thousands of nameless Japanese citizens,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was scared for them too.
Right.
I've never ever in a Godzilla movie thought to myself, oh God, I'm scared of Godzilla making landfall.
Right.
This was probably the first.
Wow. No, I agree. And like you said, I mean, I think part of that is because it takes place so quickly after World War II, where they just had experienced this horrifying devastation. I agree with you. I mean, yikes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. So we had the beginning.
Mhm.
Then the next time we see Godzilla is when Shikishima and the boat crew are out.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the scene from the shirt you got me.
Yeah, I knew it too.
Godzilla's in the water chasing the boat.
Yep.
So what'd you think of that?
I thought it was great. And I loved, too, I enjoyed their way to combat in that scene, using the mines kind of against it, which I liked that. I thought that was great. My only, not even concern, but my question, I guess, because I don't know Godzilla lore, and I know you know obviously more than I do.
A little bit.
Maybe, yeah. Is that a thing, though, that Godzilla can kind of heal himself? Because when they blow up half of his jaw, when they put the bomb, or the mine, in his mouth and blow it up, it quickly regenerates. And even as I was watching, I went, whoa! Like, I didn't know that was a thing. But I don't know if that is a thing with Godzilla.
Well, not in my experience
Oh, okay.
with Godzilla. So let me tell you what I've seen of Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I love Godzilla, but I will admit to being more of a more recent obsessive of Godzilla.
Sure.
I grew up having the Godzilla movies on TV, the old Toho Godzilla movies, but I didn't watch a lot of them.
Mm.
The only one I think I ever watched all of was Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla,
Nice. Yeah, dude.
because I had it on VHS. I think my grandma got it for me in a Kmart or something.
I love that.
Until 2020, I had never seen the original Godzilla.
Oh, okay. Right on.
So 2020 came along. I watched the original Godzilla on the Criterion Channel. And here's the thing. I enjoyed it, but it's such a dated movie. It's a
Sure.
very, very dated movie.
Mm-hmm.
They all are, because back then, 1958, you had a guy in a big rubber suit.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to make that look.
Godzilla's eyes are all googly looking. Right now, I'm showing Andrew a little Super 7 reaction figure I have of the very first Godzilla.
It is cool, though. It is cool. I like that.
Well, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it, and then some time passed,
Mm-hmm.
and I found myself thinking about it.
Nice.
Because the great thing about that first movie is that even though the Godzilla looks a little goofy nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
it does still have a good story to it.
Right. All right. That's fair.
Of course, a lot of people know that the original Godzilla was also an allegory for nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla was a representation of the atom bomb.
Right.
That's one thing that this movie kind of brought back.
Mm-hmm.
And it brought back in a big way with Godzilla, his heat ray actually doing
Yeah.
damage somewhat equal to a nuclear explosion.
Right. And they even say something about the radiation from it, too,
Right.
which
I
yeah.
don't think the radiation was as strong as what they would have gotten from a nuclear bomb,
Right. Right.
but it's very similar.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that the director, Takashi Yamazaki, brought that back
Nice. Yeah.
for this movie. But yeah, it's just, that's my experience. After 2020, I bought, Criterion has this little big booklet box set of, I think, the first 15 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Showa era,
Sweet.
or the Showa era of Godzilla. It's his first 15 or 16 movies. I'll be honest, I still haven't watched them all.
Right on. Well, that's great, though. I mean, that's awesome. That you take your time with it. This should be something you
Yeah,
can take
well,
your
I
time
have
with.
been. It's taken me years. But I do enjoy it every time I feel the urge to put on the next one. I
Right.
enjoy it. And I would love to eventually watch every single Godzilla movie,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm also a fan of the American Godzilla movies.
Right. Yeah.
I remember seeing the Matthew Broderick movie in the theater.
I do, too.
I remember having issues with it, but I still enjoyed it.
Uh-huh.
It's a silly monster movie, and I love to see giant monsters.
Right.
I love Pacific Rim.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love giant monsters. Give me giant monsters.
Yeah.
But now I can very easily say I am a Godzilla fan. I'm kind of obsessed with Godzilla.
I love that. That's great. That's awesome.
Give me anything with Godzilla, and I'm a happy boy.
All right.
Or happy old man, whatever you want to call me.
A boy at heart.
Yeah, that's the same thing as saying old.
No, you're not old. Stop.
He's a boy at heart. He's got a young soul.
You look young. You are young. Knock it off.
Anyway, sorry I'm rattling on here, but
No, it's that's the podcast, man.
having said all that,
Yeah.
this is the first time that Godzilla scared me.
Nice. All right.
This is the first time that I almost did not want to see Godzilla resurface.
That's fair. Yeah. I agree. And see, that was my thing too. I watched it with Cindy and she said, because before we kind of got into the meat and potatoes of it, she was like, is Godzilla like a good guy or a bad guy? And I said, good question. I know in some he's bad and some he's kind of that anti-hero. And then as we watch this one, he's not a good guy in this one. He's
Yeah, no.
not at all. But yeah, I was kind of curious if we were going to see that. And then once he starts, absolutely obliterating everyone and everything. And then, of course, when we think or see Noriko get seemingly killed, it was like, oh, he needs to get it. This guy needs to get wiped out. So,
It is interesting how the original movies, even the original Godzilla, he was not a good guy.
okay.
It turned with his popularity. He went from being a monster that attacks Tokyo that they need to stop to a monster that does a lot of damage but is a necessary evil because he also fights off other monsters that could be worse than him,
Gotcha.
to becoming Godzilla, the protector of Japan. You know? Oh, here's
Wow.
another monster. We need to call Godzilla to save us.
Right.
So it's changed, and
Totally.
even in the newer movies, you know, Godzilla is like, he's not a good guy,
Right.
but he is somebody that they call on to destroy other evils
Nice.
that
Yep.
are actually going to do way more damage than him.
Funny. Okay.
Anyway,
Interesting. I like it. No, that's hilarious. I love that progression. I think that's great. That's great.
I do love the boat chase. I love Godzilla chasing that little boat
Mm-hmm.
and the way his face and his eyes look above the water as he's chasing them. I'm like, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
I said that too when we were watching. I was like, that would be the most horrifying thing, watching that come after you. Because I mean, that's an automatic death. You see that, you're like, well,
Yeah.
he touches or gets to us, we're done. We're gone. So it's horrifying. It's horrifying.
And especially, like you mentioned, when they blow up, when Shikishima blows up the mine in his mouth and they think, oh, good. But then he starts to regenerate. You're like, oh, no.
And that was kind of our thought too, is like, well, how are you going to kill this creature? Like, he's immortal. His thing can't die. Like, and he's getting bigger. What? You have no hope.
And that's the thing. So I will be honest
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and say that doesn't always jive with me in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And even at the end of this movie, as much as I love this movie, the very last scene we see part of Godzilla regenerating.
Right.
And it's like, okay, that's great because we have to continue with Godzilla. We have to keep making movies.
Right.
Maybe, unless this is a one-off.
I don't know. It made a lot of money.
Yeah, and we'll talk about sequel
okay.
talk later, but yeah, like what so all you really do is stop him for a while.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And hope he doesn't surface.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's kind of hopeless to me.
I agree. No, I know. I agree. Like, that's, again, like you said, seeing him regenerate, it was like, well, you're screwed. Like, there's literally, you blew him up. He was destroyed in pieces. Like, what can you do? Shoot him to space?
It's interesting not to bring up those beautiful bastards that we love, Chuddle the Pod.
We do.
But we had a similar conversation about Return of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a huge spoiler, but in Return of the Living Dead, shooting them in the brain doesn't kill them.
Right. Right.
And I talked about that during my podcast with them on their show about how I don't love that because I like there to be a defined way of defeating the evil.
Right. Agreed. I agree.
I guess it gives me anxiety that I don't really enjoy. I don't know.
No, I completely get it because it, again, you, at least I like certain movies because you have that hope of like, okay, there's a way to stop this. Like I like good endings for the most part. There's some that I genuinely love. They're really horrible endings, sad and destructive, but I do want that happiness, and to know that there is no hope, having that hopeless ending makes it harder to enjoy it. I agree.
And I will say that it doesn't bother me that much with this movie.
Right. Okay.
I love this movie so much that I do look at it as this singular movie, and I see them stopping Godzilla at the end. So even though he starts to regenerate, thank you for leading into a sequel, but they did stop him.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So back to Godzilla.
Yeah.
The entire scene where he finally does make landfall
yeah, dude,
is terrifying, but also incredible.
I totally agree. I was like, this is bonkers. And I like that they went there with it. It wasn't like, oh, he did a little damage. No, he destroyed everything. I mean, I like that they took it to that level. I was like, wow, they're really doing it. This is crazy. And it was fun to watch, kind of the anarchy of it.
Fun and terrifying.
And terrifying, absolutely. Again, there's not a lot of hope, but
I was even scared for those idiot radio reporters on top of the building watching him.
You're way too close, guys.
I'm like, what are you doing?
I know.
And that was the other thing I loved. Oh, there's so many great moments in that when those guys are talking and Godzilla just like runs into the building and just starts to attack that one building for no reason.
Yeah. He's just angry.
I loved how big his freaking feet are.
Yeah, me too. That was awesome.
I remember seeing one of the original posters.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a full-size picture of Godzilla, and a lot of people were commenting like, his feet are huge. But man, they made use of that in the movie.
They did. Oh, yeah, they did. Yep.
I love the way he used his tail.
Yeah.
That was terrifying.
I know.
When Shikishima and Noriko are running down the street and Godzilla's coming after them, and you're like, okay, at least they're ahead of Godzilla, But then he just turns around and swipes his tail at the buildings.
Yep.
And you're like, Jesus, like, how do you get away from this?
You don't. I know. I will say, and you're probably going to bring this up, but I feel like now we can because it's right here. But, oh man, shooting the fire or the beam or whatever you call it.
The heat ray.
Heat ray, thank you, was awesome. I loved it. Oh, I loved it. And I loved the colors were beautiful. They popped like crazy. Oh my gosh, beautiful blue. But I love that each, I guess, spine or whatever you'd call it, lights up and glows. And then I love too that as he's charging, right as he shoots, he's so fast. It's not like it's going to take a second for him to get down. He's down and it's out. I was like, whoa, that's so scary.
Until the end of the movie.
Right. Yes. Yeah. For dramatic effect.
We did have for dramatic effect in the last act of the movie. And you even see it in that city scene. He does seem to look up.
Right.
And then he comes down, like his head comes down and shoots that beam.
The only thing I'm going to say about the end, I'm going to try and make it work, is that he was damaged pretty badly. So maybe it took a little extra oomph.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
For sure.
I'm giving.
I have watched that scene enough times now that I've made it work in my head.
Okay. All right.
And we'll talk about that, and I'll make it work in yours as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying because I've bashed. I've been, not bashed, but I've said my stuff before. Now I'm making up for it. I'm saying, hey, this is how it could work.
Well, we're talking about Godzilla, so this is the best part.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously. I loved after Noriko, quote unquote dies, and Shikishima comes out and he's screaming. I love the freaking shot of Godzilla standing there with the huge mushroom cloud behind him.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
There are so many incredible shots in this movie like that.
I agree. Yep, I agree. A lot of posters could be made from this movie. A lot.
And they were.
Yeah. Hey, people know how to market, man. That's awesome.
It's so good. Wow. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit.
Yeah, please.
So normally I would wait until a little bit later to talk about the music.
Oh, okay. Sure.
But I was overjoyed and ecstatic about this musical score for the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to explain to you why you, not having watched a lot of old Godzilla movies, may not realize certain things.
I might realize more than you think.
I may have told you stuff. I think I told you stuff. I can't remember if I did or not.
You might have, yeah.
But anyway, the score was done by Naoki Saro.
Mm-hmm.
Again, hopefully that's how you pronounce it. Now, normally we had this very minimal, somber, lonely score that really captured the bleakness and the sadness of post-war Japan.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
In my mind, Shikishima's state of mind as well.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you, dude, when Godzilla made landfall the first time, and all of a sudden, he brought in the original Godzilla music themes from the very first 1958 movie.
Yeah, dude.
Excuse my language, but I got a Godzilla boner. I was so happy.
Oh, it's amazing.
Now, I don't mean a Godzilla-sized boner.
Well,
I just mean a boner for Godzilla.
Look at how humble Scotty is, everybody. But no, I wasn't sure because I had heard, and maybe it was because you talked about it, or maybe because, Godzilla is a pop culture phenomenon that when that music came on, I was like, that I think is from the original or like one of the older ones because it sounded so familiar. And again, whether it's you talked about it, the phenomena, I don't know, but I definitely, when it came on, I was like, oh, that's from an older one. I wasn't sure if it was original, but I was like, that's got to be from an older one. It just had that feel.
Yeah, I think even if you've never heard the original themes,
right? Yeah,
there is a quality to that music right there, and it's so different from the other music that's been playing in the movie.
Yep.
That you have to go, oh, that sounds like an older movie's theme.
Right. Yep. That's fair. Yep.
But it was so perfectly done in this movie. It didn't feel out of place.
No, it kind of like you said, it's at landfall when we first really hear it, and it's it adds to to the anarchy, because again, we've had this somber, and then all of a sudden this theme comes in right as Godzilla shows up. It's everything rolled into one to just add even more anxiety to your already anxious feeling knowing that it's coming. So I agree. I think it was very well done and perfectly timed.
And he brought it back again, that original theme, when they're in the ships, and when Shikishima is trying to lure Godzilla back to the water. In fact, I think it starts after Godzilla's back in the water.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yes.
But at that point, it is perfectly used not for the anarchy of Godzilla destroying the city, but for the suspense of what these ships are going to do.
Right. Very good. Yes. Yep.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Timed perfectly. Obviously on purpose.
Yeah. Real quick, some behind the scenes.
Yeah, please.
So since I'm talking about the music, also the sound effects, Natsuko Inui. I definitely said that one wrong.
You're trying, man.
But she handled the special effects, the sound effects of the movie.
Nice.
To get Godzilla's roar in this one, it had to be huge. It had to be big.
Right.
So she put these sounds together. She went to the Zozo Marine Stadium.
Okay.
To get the echo of the stadium.
Ooh.
And she played the sound effects through the speakers in the stadium and recorded them to get these sound effects.
That's cool.
And she said the first time she heard it through the loudest speaker in the stadium, she got such huge chills.
Ooh, that's cool. I love that.
And afterwards, they received several complaints from local residents because it was so loud.
Amazing. I love it.
One other thing I loved about this Godzilla.
Please.
And just to give you a little bit of my opinion on some other Godzilla movies. So the last Toho Japanese Godzilla film before this one was Shin Godzilla.
Okay.
So after Shin Godzilla came out, I think that was 2016, but I'm not sure. They weren't allowed to make any more Godzilla films until for a certain number of years because of the contract with Legendary.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I've seen Shin Godzilla. A lot of people talked about Shin Godzilla, said it was great. I finally watched it, and I liked the movie. But one thing that bothered me in that movie was Godzilla's movement.
Oh, okay.
Godzilla seemed very stiff in that movie.
Okay.
And to be honest, when Godzilla first made landfall, I was kind of taken aback by Godzilla's like heavy, stiff movement. But it's quickly changed because Godzilla is this huge, heavy creature that seems like it moves it's such a plodding, steady, heavy movement. But man, when Godzilla wants to move fast, that's another thing that terrified me about him.
Well, it's like zombies. I think we've talked about that before, where zombies are fine when they walk, but when they run, it's a lot scarier.
Yeah.
You know?
Like when Shikishima, when Shikishima is flying around Godzilla.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Man, like Godzilla's so huge and he looks like he's moving so slow, but then suddenly he just lunges with his jaws.
Yeah. And even
So
he's
good.
like, ugh. Like at one point, wasn't expecting that. And I'm like, yeah, neither was I, man.
Yeah. Quickly, I kind of talked about it in the 3-minute recap, but in between Godzilla resurfacing and Godzilla destroying Tokyo, we have all this stuff. Now Shikishima is dealing with the death of Noriko.
Right.
And his buddies are saying you should have married her, more guilt upon guilt.
Right, yeah.
Which I really felt. And so now he's ready to sacrifice his life.
Right.
And he's like the serious one of all of them.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
But I did love the fact that the military could not get involved in this. And very valid reasons in the post-war atmosphere.
Right. Yep.
I love that it was all of these citizens that were ex-soldiers, but, now citizens of Japan that had to come together.
Right. Yeah.
And do their best.
I agree. No, I liked that scene where, like, some of them obviously leave and say we're not doing this, but then the rest are, well, if we don't do something, we have to try. And I liked that. I thought that was a good moment too. Of like, yeah, I mean, really, you gotta do something. Someone has to.
And I loved the attitude of that admiral or that leader.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's just like, I can't ask you to do this.
Right,
Like, I can't force you to stay.
right,
I'm just asking you to help.
right.
But if you don't want to, I understand. Do what you want. You know? He doesn't guilt them or anything.
Which I even thought that too. I was like, that's kind of a nice opposite of like a stereotypical movie general. You know, it's like, this is for us. We have to do, you know, I mean, I liked that he was a human. You know, I even thought that as I was watching, I was like, that's a good guy. Like, that's nice. He's not being a jerk about it. So, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, me too. So Shikishima gets in touch with Tachibana
Mm-hmm.
because Tachibana can build up this plane
Right.
for Shikishima to blow up Godzilla with. And I think also Shikishima knows that Tachibana, when Tachibana finds out what Shikishima has planned,
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows that he wants to absolve himself with Tachibana.
Right. Yep.
Because he knows Tachibana hates him for what he did
Right.
or for what he didn't do.
Oh, there you go.
Now, let me ask you this. So there's a scene right before Shikishima takes off in the plane
Mm-hmm.
when Tachibana is showing him how to disengage the safety on the bomb in the
Right.
plane.
Right.
Now, it seems to me that there is a moment where Tachibana is unsure about whether to tell Shikishima about the ejector seat.
Yeah. See, I
But when he,
go
Yeah,
ahead.
go
No,
ahead.
no.
well, I was just going to say that, but then Shikishima brings out the envelope with the pictures of all the guys from Odo Island.
Yeah.
And I think when Tachibana sees that, as well as the picture that Akiko drew
Mm-hmm.
for Shikishima, I think that's when he decides for sure, I'm gonna show him where the ejector seat is.
Right. And I don't know. I felt a little like it was a puzzle piece that didn't quite match because we see him like say to him essentially like, you need to end this. Like you screwed up before, you need to die. I mean, he's pretty relentless in that scene of like, I'm not going to try and give you hope. Like, you need to do this.
Yeah.
And then when we see later that flashback to right after that where he's like, here's the ejector seat. It just felt so, to me, like, whoa, what? You were totally telling him to die 2 seconds ago. And I get where you're coming from, but it just felt so, because then he's like, you should live. Like, he's just an opposite man all of a sudden. I was like, I don't know. It just felt a little like there was no progress between the two.
I think if you watch it again,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that he is going to show him that there's an ejector seat,
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll understand he's not exactly saying you have to die. He's saying you need to do your duty. You need to do what's right,
Right.
you know?
But I mean, he's like, the way he says it, though.
But he's built this ejector seat
Yeah.
because he is a human.
Right. That's true.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't feel like he had completely decided on whether or not to tell Shikishima about the ejector seat.
Right. Right.
I feel like he was on the fence about that. But
Yeah.
then when he saw that Shikishima had carried these men with him this entire time,
Right.
and that he's got this little girl that he needs to care for,
Right.
I think that's when he decided, I'm going to show him.
Right.
And it wasn't just like, oh, hey, by the way, here's an ejector seat. It wasn't like that. It was
I
like,
know.
now I've showed you this. Now let me show you one more thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's still giving him the choice, you know.
Right.
You
that's
need
true.
you need to follow through on this, but you can do this and survive if you want.
Right. Right. No, well, he says that, but then remember, he does say to him, like, you need to live.
Oh,
he
yeah.
says that to
Yeah.
him. He's like, you need to live.
That's true. Yeah.
So I don't know. Just
That's
that
true.
was such a contrast to like 2 seconds ago being like, all of them are dead because of you.
That's the contrast. He understands now that Shikishima has carried them with him.
Right.
That Shikishima is aware of what he did.
Right. I get it.
He's paid for it already.
Yeah.
He's been paying for it every night, and I think Tachibana realizes that in that moment.
Yeah. That's fair. All right.
So then we have the final scene, and we've kind of already talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
You know, but again, I'm just going to say I loved everything about the effects of Godzilla.
And I liked the plan. I thought that was kind of an ingenious idea,
Yes.
too, of essentially giving him the bends. You know what I mean? Like this pressure.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I would never have thought that. Like, that's kind of it was just a cool, unique way to stop Godzilla. I thought it was very interesting.
Right?
Yeah, very unique, very cool.
But real quick, something I promised we would mention.
Mm-hmm.
How amazing is it when Shikishima is sitting there with little Akiko,
Oh,
and she's drawing him the picture, and he's basically trying to tell her goodbye.
yeah, yeah.
There's that one moment when the camera goes to the one angle and Shikishima looks at her and he says, Akiko, why do you look so sad?
Mm-hmm.
And she just starts crying.
I know.
And I'm like,
oh,
how the hell did you do that?
oh, I know, that poor baby. I know. And for me, it broke my heart, but also I hear crying constantly all day. So I'm also a little like on edge when I hear it. But
Well, you need to comfort Cindy.
I know.
when she's crying like that.
Oh, okay. You know what? I
Yeah.
should be nicer
Yeah.
to Cindy.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Shoot.
Speaking of,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I have to bring up a Cindy thing really quick before I forget to. I'm gonna say one thing about Godzilla. And I actually saw someone posted an image on Facebook or something recently that was funny. It was like, how can Godzilla stand in the middle of the ocean?
I was going to bring that up.
Okay, I want to talk about it, but she makes me laugh. She's like, maybe his tail was like a propeller, and it was like keeping him up. And I was like, okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Is it really?
Well, that's what people say.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, he's doing something under the water to keep himself up.
He's got to, because we see how obviously deep the ocean. We know it's deep, but then we see him, of course, go down to the bottom.
Yeah.
So there's no way his legs can touch. I don't know.
And he does look like he's just standing
He's
on
just
something.
standing. Yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I love that little girl, Akiko.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
The director was even asked how they got her to cry like that.
Uh-huh.
I forget the exact quote, but he just said something to the effect of that she's an incredible actress.
Oh, dang, dude. Like 2 or 3? Jeez. Wild. Yeah, she was so cute, though. Oh, my gosh. I was like, please protect her.
Okay, enough about her.
Yeah.
Godzilla's standing in the ocean, though.
Yeah, sorry. I segued. Go ahead.
Stop segueing around your apartment.
I know.
Turn that thing off.
I need to put a helmet on. Safety first.
Segue jokes are the best, right?
They are.
So anyway, so Godzilla, yeah, I mean, that is a tiny, eensy, itty-bitty little quibble I have.
Yeah.
That they don't give us a hint of how Godzilla is doing that. They just make it look like he's standing there.
Right.
It would be cool if they showed us a quick, like, underwater shot of him, like, moving his tail a little bit or something,
Something,
just kind of doing something because
flipping
there's
his
no
legs.
movement at all.
Yeah.
He's totally still. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
I give it to him, though. I don't care. It's Godzilla.
I know. I mean, he looks
giant,
cool.
It's a giant nuclear lizard, and we're worried about how he's, like, floating.
Yes.
Now, I will say that's another thing. They say that he floats because of the salt water. Noda
true.
does mention that, and
That's true.
the way that they're going to have him sink is to put all these Freon bubbles
Right.
that are going to break the contact between his skin and the salt water.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True.
So there you go. He floats in salt water.
There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah.
You'll have to be the writer for Godzilla -2.
So the timing of this, yes, there's definitely, it seems like some liberties taken with the timing of things in the last act.
Mm-hmm.
Because how long do you think it took for them to get all those tugboats tied onto the ships?
That's true. I know. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we weren't really under a time limit at that point.
Right. Right.
It's like, we're not going to sit here and show you these tugboats throwing their ropes to the ship. It's just going to take too long.
Right.
Just suffice it to say that it took some time.
Yeah.
Godzilla is hurt. He's under the water. He's not dead.
Right.
They still want to bring him to the surface because they don't know if he's alive or dead, I think. I don't know.
Right.
But then when they do bring him to the surface, I loved the way he looked.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't expecting it. I really wasn't. I just thought he was going to be, I don't know, just tired looking or something. But the fact that he was damaged, I was like, ooh, that's cool. I like it.
Like, I think we saw when he was being brought up, we saw his eyes clouding over like it destroyed his eyeballs.
Right. Yeah.
And
That
then
was
when he
cool.
comes up and his eyes are still like white orbs.
Yeah. It's cool.
And so now we have the scene with Godzilla powering up. And right as he's about to shoot the heat ray, we have a whole bunch of, reactions.
Right.
All these people that think they're about to die. And then here comes Shikishima.
Right.
So the way I explain this, because obviously Godzilla, in the timing of the way it's shown in the movie, Godzilla could have let off that heat ray before Shikishima was able to get to him,
Right.
it seems. But I'm going to go ahead and say that Shikishima was on his approach that entire time.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
The only way to show that would have been to split screen the reactions of the people on the boats with Shikishima flying towards Godzilla.
Right.
And they wanted to focus on the emotions of the people on the boats first.
That makes sense. Yep.
But I
totally
believe there's a quick shot as Shikishima is flying in, and the camera is panning by, and you see Godzilla quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Godzilla in that shot is at a prior stage to powering up.
Okay.
He's not just sitting there with his mouth open the whole
Right.
time. And then, yeah, Shikishima just, you see, like, it does happen pretty fast, though.
It does. Oh, for sure. Yeah, when it does hit, it's quick. And I liked that, though. I thought that was cool. I thought it was more... I felt it was more effective that it was fast. Because you just kind of go, whoa, it did happen, you know? Wow, he did do it.
And I love that there's no explosion upon impact.
Right. Yeah, me
Like,
too.
the plane sits in Godzilla's mouth for a second. It's like a clang,
Yep.
and then it explodes.
Yeah, it was nice. It was good because you're just like, uh-oh. But it was good. It was perfect.
And it didn't really hit me until I read about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the idea that Godzilla crumbled because of all the pent-up energy in his body from the heat ray that he wasn't able to release.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually what made his body, like, crumble.
That's awesome. I like that. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
That was cool. It was cool to see him break apart.
So then we have the final scenes.
Mm-hmm.
We've already talked about Godzilla regenerating, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. But we have the scene with Noriko. Now, I'll admit, and I kept forgetting about the thing on her neck, but I'll admit that when I first saw this movie, I was like, oh, come on. How is she still alive? Come on.
I thought that too. Yeah. Well, and also, I honestly didn't see the black thing until you just said it at the beginning of this. I was like, what? I totally
you
missed
didn't?
it. No, yeah. I don't know what I was looking at, but I did not see that.
You might have turned away because the camera pans in on it.
What?
Like, the camera pans in on her neck.
Oh, man. I don't know what I was
And
looking
you
at.
see,
then.
like, it looks kind of like this black vein creeping, like her veins are turning black or something, and it's creeping up, but it only shows it for a quick second.
Okay, I must have, like,
And you're
looked...
like, oh.
Huh. Interesting.
So I'm wondering if the idea is that the radiation from Godzilla's blast caused her and probably other people that died to regenerate.
Ooh, that's cool.
I don't know.
We'll have to see. If it does do that, I'm curious, because she had a bandage over her eye, which could mean that she just is damaged there, or it could mean she lost an eye. So if they
Yeah.
do a sequel, I'm curious, and if that is the theory, if that's correct, if she's going to have an eye. I don't know. Curious.
See, and I love the line there at the end of the movie because before the final act with Godzilla, I think the captain of the boat is asking Shikishima, why didn't you marry her before?
Right.
And Shikishima tells him, because my war isn't over yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, he could not have made her a happy wife because of what he was dealing with inside.
Exactly. No. Yep.
So when he shows up at the hospital, I love that she says, is your war finally over?
Mm-hmm.
And of course he thinks it is, but it's not.
It's not.
So the director did say that the sequel that they're hoping to make, what he would like to see happen is for the sequel to explore these characters that we already know, which I would rather see myself, explore them in the wake of the defeat of Godzilla.
Okay. Okay.
He said it might feature another kaiju monster
Mm-hmm.
that would battle against Godzilla, which would be cool,
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm all for that.
which I think it would turn it into more of an action movie than the horror film that we got,
Right.
but
Right.
I'd still be cool with it.
Unless we see some crazy, like, violent deaths or something by... Like, it could be dark. They could go really dark with it, depending.
It could be.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope that they don't make Godzilla into a hero again.
I feel like with this amount of insane damage and craziness that he brought, it's real hard to come back from that as being like, okay, we forgive you. Sorry. Like, no, this guy did some massive damage. No, he's a bad guy.
Yeah, I just want to see the same kind of fear for the people of Japan, along with the fear of a new creature
Yeah.
that Godzilla fights, and, now he's killing people because he's fighting this other creature,
Right,
and the
yeah.
creature's killing him too.
Yeah. Oh, time to move.
Now the question is, who's that creature going to be now?
Well, because this is almost, it's kind of a remake of the original, or retelling, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. I'm curious, do you know who in the second Godzilla, or whatever the next Godzilla that did feature another monster was? I'm curious if they would continue kind of on that path.
I'd have to go back and be sure,
Mm-hmm.
but honestly, I believe the next creatures that Godzilla went up against in the original Showa era Toho films,
Right.
I believe were King Kong and Mothra.
Whoa. Okay.
Because I can't remember. Oh, there was a monster in Godzilla Raids Again. And I believe that monster's name was Anguirus.
Hmm.
And Anguirus was kind of like this Stegosaurus-looking type creature with a big hard shell on his back.
Oh, I know which one that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
there was that one. And then after that was King Kong versus Godzilla, and then Mothra versus Godzilla. And pretty soon we had Ghidorah, the three-headed,
Right.
Golden
Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, I think with Legendary's Kong and Godzilla movies that we would probably, since they couldn't make a Godzilla movie for a little bit, like you said, my guess would be we wouldn't see Kong. So I would go with, I feel like Mothra is more known, because even I know Mothra. I know the other one,
Yeah.
but I know Mothra's name. I feel like that's a more maybe popular one, so I could see that one.
I love Mothra, but I don't want to see Mothra in this type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see another creature that is scary, like Godzilla. And actually, I'd rather see something later, like one of my favorites is a creature called Hedorah, which is like this slime-looking creature. It just looks like a big thing and like slime coming down. I'd have to show you a picture.
Yeah,
but
dude. Huh.
I would like to see that one.
Okay.
Ebirah, which is like this lobster-looking creature.
I know
That's
that
another
one.
Good one.
I know that
Okay.
one.
Anyway, I think that's pretty much it with Godzilla -1. Do you have anything else before 3 questions?
I have one more thing. It's very silly, but at one point, Sumiko hands over Akiko to Koichi. Am I saying his name right?
Oh, wait. Shikishima?
Oh, yeah. Did I say...
The main guy?
Oh,
The
yeah.
main guy?
Sorry. That's his first name. So, yeah.
It's okay.
Shikishima. She hands over Akiko in the most awkward way I've ever seen anyone hand a child over to anyone. And I sat there and I started laughing. And I looked at Sydney and I was like, have they never held a baby before? Because she hands her over and then even he holds her this awkward pose as they walk back to their house. And I was like, there are 1,000 different ways to hold a kid in a much more comfortable way for both of you. Silly, dumb, but it just made me laugh. I was like, okay.
So Andrew did not like Godzilla -1 because they don't know how to hold babies.
That's exactly it. I said, learn how to hold a baby and I'll watch a Godzilla movie. I turned it off. No.
3 questions.
All right, let's do it.
Mother effers.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
All right, question number 1. What is the best death/kill in this movie?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really any singular deaths that are very impactful except for Noriko, who is actually alive, so she
Right.
doesn't really die. So I just got to say the people of Tokyo.
That's fair.
Actually, you know what? No, I am going to say the guys on Odo Island, because that's where we have the T-Rex deaths where Godzilla just picks these guys up in his teeth and just flings them around.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
That was my exact answer, dude. I kid you not. I was like, that whole beginning scene was awesome, and those guys died. We saw that they died, and their deaths were pretty awesome. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. all right. Yeah. Question number 2, was this movie scary?
No, not for me. I was not scared personally. I was scared for the people in the movie.
Fair.
That's a little bit different, though. How about you?
Same. Yeah, I would say the same thing. It was horrifying if I was there and I was one of those people, but as a audience member, it wasn't scary. It was just more entertaining.
There you go.
Question number 3. I think we know this, man, but did you have fun with horror?
This is maybe my favorite Godzilla movie of all time.
Nice.
So I don't know. Of course, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What about you, buddy?
I did overall. I really loved Godzilla in this movie. I loved every scene that he was in. I was hooked. I was watching without blinking my eyes. We talked about everything else before, but overall, yeah, I had fun with horror.
It was a very, very interesting conversation.
It was a very interesting conversation. One that, well, I knew we were probably going to go to talk about because I knew my thoughts, obviously, but yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting, but it was fun.
I knew what we were going to talk
knew
about. I knew that we were going to talk about Godzilla -1.
Yeah, I thought so.
I knew that we were going to do a podcast episode.
I'm just hoping I didn't offend anyone. That was my biggest fear today, man, was that I said
Just me.
something dumb. Yeah,
Just me.
we're gonna get we're gonna get a few 1 stars now. Sorry.
Great. Thanks, Andrew.
You're welcome.
All right, so this is one of the few times that I have no idea what you're going to pick next. I really have no idea. There's a few movies that I think you could pick, but I really have no idea what you're going to pick. So, Andrew, what are we watching next?
All right, man. This is one I've wanted to see for a bit. It's new. I was told it was on Shudder by someone recently, but from what I saw on our Watch whatever app, I didn't see it on there, so it might be on there soon. I don't know. But that is the new movie, In a Violent Nature.
Oh.
It is available to buy, though, and it's pretty cheap. It's not a $25 movie, everybody, but it is, I think it's $15. But it's on Apple, YouTube, wherever you buy movies, Amazon. It's available to purchase. But I am very curious about this movie. I've seen a lot of things about it. I've not watched really anything on it, though, so it's going to be interesting.
I didn't even think about this movie when I was thinking of movies that you could pick. And the funny thing is that I literally almost bought it to watch it last night.
No way!
But I got busy with other things and I didn't have time to watch a full movie, so I didn't get it yet. Yes. Wow, dude.
That's awesome.
That's a great choice.
See, and I looked up because I really didn't know. I was like, man, I know there's obviously older ones I want to see. I know there's a couple that have come out. So I went on, Apple to look at their releases, and I didn't know it was out yet to buy. So I was like, oh, okay, that's our pick.
Yeah, it hasn't been on Shudder yet for sure.
Okay, that's what I thought.
As far as right now, as of this recording, it hasn't been on Shudder.
Okay, because I know it's a Shudder movie or produced movie. Or
yeah,
whatever,
I think they produced it.
Yeah, there you go, man.
That's exciting, buddy.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. I know kind of the way it was filmed, I guess. Maybe not.
I think I know maybe as much as you do.
Yeah, I don't know much, but I know people have been buzzing about it, so there you go.
Buzzing like bees, like those bee policemen that come to your door.
That's, oh man, callback.
That's a callback. That's a callback to our last episode, everybody.
Yeah, if you don't get it, you should go listen to our episode.
Yeah. That said, everybody, thank you for listening to Fun with Horror.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you to our patrons with horror. Again, we are on social media. You can find us everywhere. We are now on Patreon. Woo-hoo. So please, $5 a month, buy us a coffee, whatever. And here's some exclusive episodes. Pretty soon I'll be doing a series of movies, and I'll either be doing it alone or with Andrew or with other friends. You know, it's just going to be some fun, and it'll be exclusive to Patreon.
Nice.
So if you want to hear that stuff, go subscribe.
Yeah. And again, thank you, and we love all of you. And Scotty.
Yes, Andrew.
I love you.
Andrew, I love you.
Aw, thanks.
-1.